Hello and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. It is Wednesday evening, which of course means it's time for Fox's Den. I'm joined by Nil, Andreas and Ragsy. No Josh this week. He's too busy doing uni stuff. Boo, boring. Anyway, Ragsy, what's going on, mate? How was your trip to Belgium? You all right?
Yeah, all good, man. How we doing, lads? Storm, what was it? Which storm was it? There's too many to count. The Storm Dara got away and extended us today. So I tried doing a bit of scouting and stuff, but yeah, no luck on any sort of new defenders at the minute. But we'll do some more research and stuff. But let's trial it out. But yeah, all good. Thanks, mate.
Lovely stuff. Andreas, mate, what's going on? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Working towards an exam that has to be delivered next week. So making good progress on that, moving forward.
Is the exam on Victor Christiansen and how he's been unfairly treated? Because I think you do good at that, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Not quite. If it was, I would have been done with it ages ago, man. I could write pages on that in minutes. So yeah, it would have been a lot easier if that was the case.
Lovely stuff. And Neil, mate, what's going on?
I have to be honest, I'm actually having a pretty crappy day, as you know about locks. But I will say, when you're having a bad day, getting it to spend it on Fox's Den with your friends and the Blue Tinted community does make you feel better. And because he's in chat, is Costa. I've got something to show Costa. Because I can't be outdone. So, Costa, if you're watching this, I was inspired by something I saw on the call-in show. And I thought, as it's Christmas, I would upgrade. So now Ruud van Nistelrooy. This is the Ruud van Nistelrooy version of the blue tinted glasses that I'm wearing. So I'm very good.
That is insane. But now I look basic. I just look basic now. I don't know. I look boring. Boo. Right. There we go.
Yeah,
no, I love it.
Costa's
a fan.
Love it.
All right. I'm going to just bring one coming up before we start today. Question for Nil. I enjoy your and anyone's sports media tactics breakdown, but isn't it true that nobody knows players' assignments outside of players and coaches?
Yeah, you'll never know 100% what each player's instruction is set to, but you can pretty much guess it, right? Like, all teams have people. You might have several people on a team, but I will say that, like, when you do it at the professional level, you might have two people giving their report on the game, or they'll work together because it's better that way, right? What if someone catches something you didn't, or you disagree with things? Like, sometimes when you watch a game, you could be like, I think they're doing this. And you could be like, well, I don't think they're doing this. I think they're doing something else instead. So I a little bit, but I would contest that a bit. I think you can kind of guess, but yeah, you'll never know exactly, for example, that like, has this player been told to man mark that player or not?
You'll never know what Fass's instructions are because he doesn't know what they are. He doesn't listen to them, I think. So he just does whatever he feels like. Wolf, I see your question. We'll come to it later on. Right, let's start this off. We will obviously talk about Brighton kind of in this conversation, but I'll come to you first, Andreas, mate. It's a bit of a broad question. What have you made to Ruud van Nistelrooy's start as Leicester manager so far?
I think this could sound overly positive, but I'm going to be completely honest. It's been near perfect, right? We've gotten 4 points on the board. We've seen improvement from the games. We, got a big win against West Ham after just 2 training sessions, and then to deliver yet again an improved performance. And you can see the tactical ideas that he has. So it might sound overly crazy, but I genuinely think we've gotten the points on the boards. The players are clearly happier. He's gotten the King Power bouncing. We've gotten a late comeback. I don't think I could have asked for much more, to be honest. I think I've gotten everything that I wanted, and I might want to say a bit more, because 4 points is more than I dared to dream of.
Well, in follow-up to that, how easy, and when I say that, I mean, how easy do you think it's been for him when, I know you could say that maybe the players were on a low and they needed picking up on all of that, but anything would have been an improvement, wouldn't it, on what was in place before?
Yeah, I mean, this is something we discussed, right? When there were like 4 managers in the running to become the coach, it was like, yeah, I might prefer this guy, but anyone over Cooper would be a huge improvement, right? So obviously, I think that's where Cooper had a tough run, right? Coming in right after a successful season, the players loved his playing style. It makes it a bit harder to take over when he's been poached and you're coming in to a very settled squad. But I think here, right, anyone who comes in through the door would have been a savior in the players' and our eyes, because they had a job to do. So I think obviously that makes his job easier, but I still believe he's done a very good job so far.
Ragsy, mate, you next. Give it to me. What have you made to him so far?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, to bed in his ideas and sort of the philosophy that he was implementing and sort of kind of starting to structure at PSV, and then like the United sort of periods, it's hard to really sort of take anything from that period. And like in the week as well, it's really hard for him to sort of like try and bed in ultimately what sort of philosophy he wants to bring for us and how we sort of set up as a team. But even in like, for the sake of the West Ham game, I think it's like as a brief overview of it, you looked at that first half against West Ham and we're kind of like surprised ourselves that we went in front with our sort of first intricate move as a team to then and go and get the goal, and then we kind of resorted to what the players sort of learned off of Cooper and sort of like sitting in and trying to absorb pressure and then maybe go on the counter attack and be direct and stuff without necessarily being efficient with ball retention, and we were just succumbing to too much pressure. But even then, you saw the tactical tweaks in that West Ham game, and from the sounds of it, for the likes of the Brighton game, it just seems like the elements were there in terms of the patterns of play, just a defensive structure, and I think it's just we don't really want to get too carried away with it at the minute, because it's literally just anything is an upgrade on Cooper, with all due respect to him. And it's like actually just having someone that is competent, that can recognize the amount of talent that we've got in this squad and utilize it effectively. And just one noticeable thing already that I'm really liking towards Ruud is just quick substitutions, being like, okay, something's not going right. Be proactive with it, make the change before it comes to bite you back in the arse or something. So it's many elements to like about his sort of management, his demeanor so far, and there's all the positive signs that I was seeing from PSV that could make him think he could do well here. So look, it's a start, but long may it continue.
Well, the substitutions, and maybe once I've said this, Anil, you can kind of talk about it as well when you give your summary. But we mentioned a really interesting stat on the instant match reaction on Sunday. That obviously Ruud's made 10 subs so far as Leicester manager. Five of them have been before the 65th minute, and Steve Cooper also only made 5 substitutions before the 65th minute, and that was after 12 games and 47 subs in total. So Ruud's already matched it in 2 games with those early subs. I mean, Anil, that just shows, doesn't it, that he's more proactive, basically.
Subbed on Daka against West Ham, scored. Subbed on Bobby de Cordova-Reid, goal and assist. Put on Mavididi, wins the ball back for Igor's mistake. He's making changes. I think he's done amazing. And I actually think, everyone's saying that the results, but I showed it in the analysis. Hopefully I'll be able to sneak another video out before the next game starts. But he's improved the team a lot. And I think the stats that stand out to me against Brighton, if you look at like the underlying data, is that we had more possession than Brighton. They are a really, really good team. They've had more possession against Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal did have a man sent off, but even before that, they had more possession. It's a properly good team they are, and they scored 2 top quality goals. If you look at the stats, they didn't create any quote-unquote big chances. I think the one that Matoma had earlier on in the game was actually what I would consider the biggest chance, which I think he should have done better. But like the Lamptey goal's a wonder goal, and the Minter goal is like, you got to give someone some credit there. It's like Mahrez-esque. So we had more possession. And, in that game, I felt we didn't carry so much of a threat. And in the end, we did have the threat. So, again, thanks to his subs. So I think he did really well there. But I also see the progression game to game. So it's a shame Ragsy couldn't see the game. But against Brighton, there were some nice passing sequences where we kept the ball for like a minute and a half, just popping it about, dragging them out of shape. And we weren't just giving the ball. So like I said, our possession improved a lot. So it's almost like he recognized the problems that we had in the West Ham game, and he kept the things that were good, and he made us even better than that against Brighton. And now I think like a lot of people are saying in chat, a couple of weeks ago, you're thinking we're going to go to St. James's Park and get smashed. And now people are thinking we might get something. And I think the only thing people are a bit upset about is there's no... we're not going to be able to love boobs against Newcastle, which maybe we should get to, and no Wilf, which I think for that game specifically is a bigger miss because they're quite athletic. I think if we had both of them, I would fancy us to even get a win. But without them, I still think we could get something. Skip played that nice pass in for Vardy's first goal when Bobby Durek called Reed. So I think, I'm really impressed with him. Even if we hadn't got the result, if you look at the underlying data, the performance and fixing the issues, Ruud knows what he's doing. He's a really good manager. And if you give him time, we'll only get better. So I think we should be right to get carried away. He's a good manager.
Yeah. Mick, just to answer your question, mate, Monday night, 7 p.m. So that's when the call-in show is. So you can call in then. Andreas, I mean, Anil mentioned a couple of players there about like the players that Ruud subbed on and they've scored or set goals up, whatever. I mean, one sign of a good manager is to get players that fans seem as average players, what they see as average players, performing. And I'm not going to be rude and call certain players average, but when you look at the performances earlier in the season from the likes of Decordova-Reid and maybe Connor Cody or definitely James Justin, I mean, he's one to mention. And I know you love him. Andreas, but Christensen, poor earlier in the year.
For sure,
he's completely turned them around.
And I think you can look at many players in the squad, right? Pretty much every single player had the games where you'd call them out, maybe except for someone like Jamie Vardy, who you knew or you could always see was giving his all, right? I think you're bang on, and it seems like this system, this idea that he has of how he wants to play football, clings with our players. Maybe they've realized as well that they need to take to whatever approach is coming in next, because they can't afford to be these high and mighty players that only want to play in a certain way anymore after what happened with Cooper. I think he's gotten as you said, someone like Connor Cody, who people have been questioning, would he ever be playing in the Premier League, and did he have the level? He has very much looked up to par in these first few games, and yeah, he's got the squad to be together. The players are fighting. The players who come on as well are willing and fighting to have an impact. And what really matters to me as well is you can see how much they fight for that late equalizer, right? As soon as they get the first taste of a chance of getting something from this game, even with just 5 minutes to go, they give everything for it. And people who weren't even involved with the goal were sprinting up there, celebrating with the fans. Like, you can clearly see this is a squad that is together, that wants to stay in the Premier League and will do whatever it takes, which is a key component I feel like we were lacking when we got relegated a few years ago, because as soon as we went one goal behind, the heads dropped and we didn't fight.
Yeah. Did you see Ruud firing up the crowd after the first goal as well? He was like really giving it a fist pump, and that's something that I think, I like that about Enzo as well. I really like those managers that do that. Football's an emotional hobby, right? You don't just want to be sort of bored and be passive. If you feel the emotion, that can get you results, and they're the best moments in football. And that was a great one, right? When that second one went in, look at Lox's reaction on the channel. Brilliant.
Well, no, but you're right about that though, because even if you don't like a manager, scoring a goal and then him doing that, it makes you like him a little bit more. Even if you dislike it, and in the moment, it makes you get behind the team. And I mean, I think back to Rodgers. Rodgers wasn't too animated, was he? But I feel like people loved him at points because of what was on the pitch. But I mean, Claude Puel, shit on the pitch and shit off it. Cooper, you could say the same. And I just feel like the energy that Ruud's bringing is, it just gives the fans some excitement. Just a quick one here, by the way. Thanks to Ant for becoming a member. 2 months now. If anybody wants to become a member, there is a join button under the video. Then you can show your support by doing that. Remember Martin O'Neill bouncing around the touchline, legend. Yeah. I was going to bring one come up here now, Ragsy, for you to talk about whilst we're talking about the manager. And it is, do you think Ruud will ignite the interest in Leicester in the way Claudio did and attract quality players in the process? I mean, I think of the bigger name players that Claudio brought in. I mean, I'm thinking of like Gökhan Inler, who barely played a bloody minute. He'd been an experienced player in Europe. But yeah, do you think that the name might help us in the? I know it's too early to talk about transfers, but do you think the name might help us in future with recruitment?
I think he'd certainly suggest some ideas that maybe, like, potentially from the Dutch sort of scouting networks and stuff that he could be in touch with and have contact with. So that could sort of certainly help in terms of if he wants to look for a certain profile of player, like, for instance, a winger, for example. And he's just like, in terms of, we're looking for someone direct, someone like Vaturi that can sort of take the ball from out wide and then drive and be direct with it. So, and he might have some contacts and he might know people of anybody coming across the world that would then be in touch with Dutch clubs, and he might know some people that would help. So that certainly helps. But I certainly think when it comes to attracting players of quality across Europe and stuff, I think just us simply having Prem status and stuff. I don't think it's going to elevate that at all. I think it's Leicester. We're now a Premier League club, so we're able to be in the mix. And when you look at some of the players, like Ruud was scouting Daka, he was scouting El Kanous as well. Like whilst he was at PSV as well. So the fact that he's already in tune with some players across Europe as well just knows how extensive his research is in terms of when it comes to looking for certain profiles and stuff. So it's handy and stuff. So I think the main thing is him trying to slowly implement a setup behind the scenes that we can like have in terms of our recruitment again. So if that could happen, that would be great for us.
I very much think as well, right? If you're an attacking player, this is something I remember reading a bit about when he was at Manchester United shortly. Rasmus Højlund speak very highly about the fact he got to work under Ruud van Nistelrooy as, an attacking player. And Chido Obi-Martin, one of the brightest prospects currently like bubbling in the Premier League under 18s. I know about him because he's Danish, funny enough. Right? That's exactly what I know about him. He swapped from Arsenal to Manchester United. And he mentioned like two major reasons why that I've been able to read. Is first of all, the clearer pathway to first team football, obviously, but also the fact that he got to work under Ruud van Nistelrooy. And I think if you're an attacking player who wants someone who you know and trust to, their guidance is very key. Well, who else than an elite Premier League attacking player in the past? I think that's someone who can certainly help give that edge. It's a small factor. It's certainly not a deciding factor, but I think it's something if we're looking for promising attacking projects that could help someone choose, let's just say us rather than Wolves or Everton in and around us, because we have a coach who wants to play attacking football and can get you firing.
No, that is true to be fair, Andreas. If we're trying to compete, let's say over lights, if us and Everton and Wolves were interested in the same player, then that could be like the contributing factor that could get us a player over the line, to be fair. No, you're right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Ant says, Branthwaite said Ruud was the best defensive manager he's worked under. I mean, I remember bringing that up when he was appointed in Nil, that he said, because as a striker, as one of the best strikers, that the Premier League has had, he knows what defenders don't like, and that would help him when he's coaching defenders.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you lot are crazy. I'm literally looking on my upper screen now, the PSV squad. Ruud is going to be instrumental in being able to get top Dutch talent to come to Leicester. We're definitely going to sign one or two players from there, guaranteed. If not PSV, Feyenoord or Ajax, many good players there. So that will definitely carry a lot of weight. He's developed them. He's got a team. They're playing good stuff. He's already getting results. If you're a forward, especially. So, and I think as well, if you look at a lot of the players in Holland right now, those clubs, the way that they operate is they tend to get players that are between the sort of 20 to 24 age group because they're looking to sell them on for money. And we're actually the next best club for them to go to. We were just talking about off stream, like Bilal El Kanous, how he's a really good player to go to. You got Lucas Bergvall, who's gone to Spurs. That's maybe too big of a jump for him right now. And you got El Kanous, who's gone to Leicester. And so you can go there. He can have a few bad games, like when he was scared of the rain against Everton. But then he can play some good matches, work his way in, and then become the finished product. So I think Ruud will be quite instrumental. And I think what's really good about Ruud, and I think this is underrated about him, is that he worked at young PSV before he was at PSV. I learned that because Ragsy told me that. Just shout out to Ragsy there. And so he's used to working those academy level players and getting them the pathway into the first team and developing them further. And I think that again will go us. So some of those PSV players will have worked under Ruud at young PSV. Then they'll have worked under Ruud at PSV. And now Ruud's at the Premier League. They'll be like, well, that's the guy that I want to go to because he improved me and I'm going to get even better. And they've got a lot of good players. So I think that's a good example with Archie Gray. We saw how good he was last season, but he made too big of a jump. He needed to go somewhere, if I'm being honest, that's probably like a Palace or something like that. Brentford, where you're going to get more minutes.
Yeah, they were going to go for it.
Yeah, and then work your way up. So, I don't lose sight of it. I think he'll be instrumental in getting us a lot of players, and I think that could make a big difference. Where if, for example, you had Graham Potter, you're not going to have that sort of pull on the continent, I don't think. So I think that's one of the reasons why Top really wanted Van Nistelrooy. He did want a name because now we've got the training academy. He wants to have someone who's got a high profile, I think, to back that.
We're going to talk about some negatives. I'm going to look for some negative. I want you to. I mean, Doc, Andreas, what haven't you been overly pleased with in those two games? I know it's early, but we criticized Cooper from minute one, so we'll do the same with Ruud when we need to. What haven't you liked, and what do you think he does need to work on?
Oh, I'm like it might sound really crazy, but I'm struggling to think of any major negatives here, right? I thought the first half against Brighton was, I mean, it was like, again, I've been nitpicking, it feels like, because that wasn't perfect. I thought Jordan Ayew, I don't know why he saw Jordan Ayew working in that system, because it felt like Jordan Ayew defensively was lacking a lot of awareness. But I'm nitpicking, and it's hard for me to say like what if this is the coach or if this is the players, because I think in general he is doing really well, especially at fixing the glaring issues. What I will say is there is still a long way to go, so it's hard to maybe judge when is the top, when are we gonna peak under Ruud van Nistelrooy. But so far, yeah, I think if we could, I mean, it's hard to point out a massive flaw, but there is still room for improvement. I want to make that very clear, right? The players can be better. We could be more decisive in the final third. I think if there's one thing we've been lacking is, I think too often we have something where I think this could be a chance, and yeah, it gets squandered away to small mistakes or lack of decision making in the box.
Only scored 5 goals in 2 games, and Nils said there's a Nils negative. By the way, is this true? Is this true that the Get It Forward Brigade are already moaning? Surely not.
Where are they?
Not.
I don't even know where they are. They're just
let me defend them slightly.
There's another channel called LFTV. That's where they are.
Yeah, okay.
I'll defend them slightly. I do think in Brighton, that was maybe one thing we didn't carry that much of a threat. But like I said, we improved it in the second half. And also, I think we should be a bit critical. So someone's put here, Zaid's put it, and I agree. The only negative to Ruud so far is his starting 11. Like, I know a lot of people, I remember in one of our chats logs, a lot of people were like, no, Ayew for Mabadidi is the right call. I actually didn't respond there because I actually thought the other way, but that's fair enough. I think you could make the argument either way. What I think I would criticize Ruud is he has made those subs, but I think against Brighton, for example, he should have made the Mabadidi sub at half time, not at 60 minutes. Like Ayew was having such a clunker of a game. It's like, it's not even his fault. Just that sometimes you just like, I get out of my bed and like you just kick the wall or whatever, and your foot hurts, and the next thing you walk into the door and you just think, okay, it's just going to be one of those days, isn't it? And like you pour your cornflakes and the milk goes over your t-shirt. This might have been this morning, by the way. When those sort of things are happening, you just need to be subbed, right? It's not your day, and that's why I think persevering with it had no merit. But to be fair, we still came back into the game. So they're the two things I would be critical of him for. That are not enough turtlenecks, but I think in general you are clutching at straws to say that, because he's been. Notice you said this to me yourself, Lox. Notice how the media have gone very quiet about Leicester's decision to get rid of Steve Cooper now that they've seen the obvious upturn. They're like, oh my god, they actually look a lot better under a manager who knows what he's doing.
I think Ayew's probably the only guy who was sad to see Steve Cooper leave. I think he was probably the only one. But I mean, Ragsy, let's just talk about that one, because I suppose it's a big talking point from the Brighton game, and one of the only things we can really criticize Ruud for. Whether you like it or not, Ragsy, because I know you didn't like it, Ayew has done more, in my opinion, this season to deserve this season
off
to
the
deserve
bench.
a starting place
Off the bench.
But all of Mavadidi's threat has all been off the bench.
No, it hasn't. He started against Palace, scored.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
He started against
Palace.
Everton, scored. Like if Ayew starts 2 consecutive games and scores in both of them, we can have a debate. But until then, Mavadidi is superior.
So are you saying that Mavadidi could put in shitters for the next 4 weeks and he still deserves it?
I still feel like, you need to hold him to account, obviously. Of course, there's standards and stuff, but I'd bank on him to start at this moment, because for me, there's no real competition, because there is a limit to Jordan Ayew. And I think the way we get the best out of him is that he comes off the bench for the last 20 minutes and causes an impact and stuff for the sake of Leicester City. Of course, if he's having a stinker, you got to drag him off, because it's like, it can't be all about you and stuff. If you're not being effective, you're not doing your job, you're out of the team. But at this moment in time, he is the most talented winger that we have in the squad. He is like, we are more creative when he's in the team. And what we've been saying, though, even with these 2 games under Ruud, is that we're lacking that sort of creative edge in the final third and just being a bit more cutthroat and stuff. And you got a player that, as shown last season, he's more than capable of stepping up to the Premier League to be able to do it. I think he's a player that he needs to bed himself into the game. He needs to sort of he may not be like tracking back like constantly and stuff. He may be assessing the damage. He may lose out on a duel, but he'll assess his opponent. He'll need to sort of figure out what his sort of game is and then think and pause and stuff. With Vettel, we sort of look at him and go, well, he just sort of goes every time he goes at the ball and stuff. And it's like he sort of takes it, pauses, then makes a decision and then just goes with pace and he looks exciting. Mavididi is a bit more like he puts a lot more thought into it. But overall, his output is far higher. And I just think at the minute, like he's almost sort of like threatening sort of winger at the minute. So for me at the minute, I think he needs to run in the team. And then like, and hopefully that like, I think he'll sort of test out this IU experiment, whether he's done marathons in training or something with Jordan IU. And he'll eventually realize that, yeah, this ain't really cutting it. And I need to put Steffi in the team because he's more talented. So we'll see that eventually.
Andreas, I'm kind of in the middle here because I think the problem or the thing that we should criticize Ruud for is what Anil said. Not, oh God, I've got fucking bubbles on my screen. I think the thing we should criticize Ruud for is what Anil said, not making the change at half time. Because I think it was quite obvious then at half time that he was struggling and we needed something different. I mean, do you what side of the fence do you sit on? Do you think IU deserved a chance at least?
I think the thing is, right, IU isn't a young player who's trying to embed his way into the first team, because I'm not going to be sitting here singing IU hate, because I think he's been brilliant for us, right? He's come in at a relatively decent fee. Maybe I could have wanted him for a few million quid less. He's got us some decisive goals in crucial games to win us points, and he seems like he's fighting for the badge. But you can't force square pegs into round holes, and him as a starter is like doing that, right? He just feels out of place when he's coming into a game where he doesn't really know how the game is going and what he needs to do to be the impact, because he feels so much better coming off the bench. And I will say, I think Mavididi has been great off the bench, even better than as a starter. But I think the more optimal solution out of the two that we have is starting Mavididi. And then IU is the obvious choice to come on if Mavididi isn't working out and find the solution, be something different, because he just wasn't it. And I don't think this is IU's fault, because that's just not the role he's going to play this season. I think he will be brilliant for us and certainly pay back his transfer value if he hasn't done so already off the bench. I'm not against IU or anything. I just simply think we are forcing him to do the wrong thing if we are forcing him to start, because it's not about deserving it. Like someone like McAteer fits into the system that Ruud wants to play with the players he have. So he didn't really have to do anything to earn that start. He just fits the system, and that's why IU is struggling at the moment. He's not fitting the system as a starting player.
Also, just something quick to very add.
Go on.
Sorry. With IU, when you start him, because like he's 33 now. Like if you start him, like naturally for any player that comes into the team, they're in the mindset of like, I need to withstand this sort of 90 minutes. And for me, he doesn't possess the fitness to be able to do that. So what he's doing is conserving himself in sort of moments and stuff when it comes to it. So it's like sometimes he'll make the odd run there, then he'll think, oh, actually, I don't know whether like I need to hold myself out here for the next 10 minutes or something. Meaning you're not going to get the best out of him. Whereas if you bring him off the bench, then he won't have to worry. He'll just be like, I'll just run until I can't sort of run anymore. Because like, I just think it's more efficient for him being an impact sub. Because I agree as well. I think as a sub, I think he's doing the business. He's like earning his rightful place in the squad at the minute, but just not as a starter. But yeah, I hear everything Andreas says and stuff. I understand it, why, if it's goals and stuff, but it clearly doesn't work when he starts.
So Bobby Deck would start over both of them.
I don't know.
I mean, reverse Steffi, but yeah.
You're bringing that right. I was just thinking about it because I haven't seen many people screaming for Nico Novo to start. People are more just surprised he's having an output. I think he's been brilliant off the bench, both of these games that he have done that. Does that mean he needs to start if he can't do this for 90 minutes, where we have someone like McAteer who will leave his heart on the pitch for 70 minutes, who does need a lot of work in the final third? I think that's McAteer's biggest problem. When it works in the final third, it looks good, but 80% of the time he fails. But I think the construction we have right now is working between those two on the right side. And Dikadova can come in and add something different, cut more inside or look more for these crosses. So I wouldn't be sitting here singing for Dikadova to start. I think the system he has right now on that right wing is working. So let's just keep doing that. And then if McAteer gets injured or continues to not really have an output, then maybe we have to try different solutions. But I think what he's got going on right now down on the right side, no need to change it.
Sorry, I only brought this comment up to try and get Ragsy triggered because I know he hates people calling him Mavididi lazy, but he didn't react to it. So mission failed.
Stop running out of lazy. That doesn't even make sense.
No. He said Mavididi will also stop running out of laziness. Basically,
did that happen last season?
At times, I think at times. But anyway,
yeah,
I think last season was more head dropped. He couldn't beat his fullback, head dropped, and he just lost the confidence.
Like 25 goal involvements.
No, I know you said it didn't happen last year. I'm saying it did happen sometimes last year where he couldn't beat his fullback. But anyway, right. Let's look to the future for the last few minutes here. Now, 4 games left in 2024, and boy, is it a tough little run. So, Anil, we have Newcastle, Wolves, Liverpool, and Man City. How many points do you want from it, mate? How many points are you happy with from them 4 games?
It's got to be 12, isn't it? No. I would definitely be happy with 6 out of 12. Put it that way. Probably we won't get that, but I'm feeling a lot more optimistic. It's a funny one though. I really feel that again, the Wolves is the higher pressure game. We got them at home because so far, if you think about it, we haven't really had a bad result against the teams around us. Everton draw, at least we didn't lose. Palace draw, at least we didn't lose. Ipswich draw, seeing a bit of a theme here. At least we didn't lose. Southampton, at least we got a victory. So I would probably go as far as saying, again, if we avoided defeat, we're probably quite good. But I think a win there is just huge because, as we know, I think if you look at the squads, we definitely got a better squad than Southampton. I feel a bit sorry for them, to be honest with you. Ipswich spent a ton, but they bought a lot of championship players. I think it's showing. So we need to beat one of the teams that's got an actual Premier League squad. And the way that it's going at the moment is it's got to be Wolves. Because Wolves, they would normally sack a manager, but they can't afford to, let's be honest, right? And I'm hoping that they're not going to back or sign that many players in the transfer window either. So they're the team I think we are. Because Palace, I think I've gone unbeaten in 7 or 8 games now. They're actually playing pretty good. They got a good squad and a good manager. I think they were always destined to rise. So that's the one we've got to win. If I'm being honest, it's probably going to be 4 points, but I might take it depending on where we get that 4 from.
Andreas, I'm seeing a lot of 6s, 7s in the chat. I think people are in cuckoo land, if I'm honest with you. I know we're all happy because Ruud's here, but I don't think we're picking up. I agree with Anil that I think at a push, 4 points.
Yeah, I think you can very quickly do the math, right? I'm going to be honest. I think Wolves at home must win. We have to get 3 points there. So a minimum of 3. Would I be happy if we smash and grab the point against either Liverpool or I think Liverpool is away, Newcastle away as well, and then Man City at home, right? Smash and grab a point at any of those games, and I'd be happy with 4 points. 6 points, I'd be over the moon, mate. I mean, if that happens, that I think we should be stoked if we get 6 or 7 points from these 4 games. 4 points, and we should be more than happy, but 3 points is a must. That is what I'm making very clear. 3 points against Wolves at home. That is the only must of this period. I don't care about the other 3 games, to be honest. If we get something good, but we need to beat Wolves. It's
what if we
under
won
the relegation.
All of the other 3 games and we lost the Wolves?
Obviously, then I would be better in the grand scheme of things, right? But that's simply not happening. It's too many ifs and buts, and things need to be, injured or whatever for that to get over the line. But I think, we need 3 points, 4 points. I'd be chuffed.
Yes, Akif says locks the broken glasses don't mean you lose the tint. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. We're getting 12. We're getting 12. What do you think, Ragsy? How many points you think? Yeah, tell me how many you think we'll get and how many you want. Obviously, you want 12, but yeah.
I mean, 6 I'd be happy with, definitely. I reckon 5. I reckon because like Newcastle away. I reckon Newcastle away, like traditionally, we've got a pretty good record there. I think there was like 8 games in a row there that we've won at St. James's Park or something. And like even in the season that we got relegated, we held that out to a draw. I think it was like when Mendy was trying to like hug Joel Linton or something, and then it was the last minute winner that they got from Bruno Guimaraes and stuff. That was the only thing I could remember, but they actually won. And I just think like it would be very Leicester of us to go and beat a Man City, but then drop points to Wolves. Like and it's just a bit of a whole like switcheroo and Freaky Friday and just random results just happen in sort of winter period and stuff. But you're like, so I think you just sort of take it as it comes. But I definitely would be in the mindset of like, we could go to Newcastle and we could be quietly confident a bit, like thinking they're not in a good way. They're not like high and rosy and stuff. They only really seem to get up for the bigger games and stuff when the bigger teams come there. So they'll look at that as a game they're expected to win. And I think we can play on that for sure. Because I think like we look a bit more assured in ourselves, thinking we know our quality, we know our strengths, and we know how we can hurt them. So, and then with the Wolves game, yeah, I think that's just, if we get the win there, that would then just sort of settle things down. You then head into Liverpool, which is just a tough ask as it is. But then Man City at home as well, they're not looking great. Let's be honest.
A lot can change with City in half a month, right? Like, give them a few more weeks. If De Bruyne starts clicking again in the Prem, I mean, they could look very sharp in 2 weeks' time. That's what I will say. But I do agree with your point. If they're still this shaky at home, I think we should be believing that we can get something done.
Palace got a draw. That's the thing. So then you're looking at that as a relegation rival and thinking you can't use that as like a free hit or something. Like, go and try and get a result out of that for sure, especially at home. It's doable. Yeah, it's doable.
Absolutely. Right, Ragsy, mate, what's coming up on Foss Hub, Talk Leicester City, whatever else you're interested, whatever else you're into these days?
We'll do some. We're going to do some previews over the course of this week. We'll just stay tuned onto Foss Hub and Talk Leicester City as well on playback and stuff, and we'll do some post-match stuff heading into next week. But I'm away over the weekends and stuff all over a place at the minute, so it's just. But I'll try and keep in touch and stuff and do my own, like Anil sort of basis and Andreas basis of like tactical insight and like little bits if I can in here and there. So, but yeah, come check us out.
Nice one. By the way, hi to you, Matty, mate. Long time no see. Actually, I don't think you've ever been in the comment section. So yeah, thanks for joining in, Andreas. I know you don't really. You sometimes do you even go on Foss Hub anymore? I don't know.
I come on when I have the time. I will say though, uni has taken quite a lot of my time. I like to jump in there when I have the time, just for a quick 20-30 minute chat when I see them live. But what I will say, if I have time to just make one final point, right? And the big change that I've really loved under Ruud, I just watched the High Performance podcast with Thomas Frank guesting in there. And he talked a lot about how they get these results, right? Where they beat these big teams. And Thomas Frank feels like if you want to have a high performance environment where you can upset the odds, you need to have the belief going into the game that when you go to Anfield, when you go to St. James Park, that you can get the result. And if there's one thing that I feel like I can see in the fans at the very least, we believe we can get results at games where maybe on paper we shouldn't. And I love that. That's the ambition. That's the positivity. That is the joy of football, right? That we believe that we can get something more than what, many others believe. And I think that's key to us, maybe even overperforming the season if we are to continue this road of form that we are in right now. But yeah, I love that we have the belief back in the club that we could gain something, and we're not all dreading Saturday to watch how shite we'll play this time.
Yeah. Costa says, "Oh no, Locks is doing the countdown question of what's everyone doing. That means good night." Yeah, unfortunately so. Anil, mate, what's coming up? We don't really know at the moment, do we? But
we'll definitely be here for Match Day Live.
Of course.
I would normally do the analysis show or preview tomorrow, but it's actually our work's Christmas party tomorrow. So I don't think I'm going to be in the best state to do that. But you never know. Might sneak some content out. I would like to do something. I have already started something, but let's see. So you might get a Christmas surprise. You might get a lump of coal in your stocking. What can I say? But you'll definitely get us on Match Day Live and instant match reaction, which should be a good fun as always.
And it's my Christmas party on Friday night. So what we've got coming out on the channel on Friday night is a pre-recorded little special, not special, but basically with me and Manny, where we look through the whole relegation battle. So we'll look at Everton, we'll look at Wolves, we'll look at Palace, we'll look at Ipswich, Southampton, of course, Leicester. And have I missed anyone there? Probably Man United. and some takes, some opinions and views from fans of those clubs as well. They'll be there as well. So that'll be out on Friday. I say evening, it might be earlier in the day, but you can watch it whenever. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much to Andreas, to Anil, to Ragsy as well. We'll see you very soon on the channel, all of you, I'm sure. And yeah, stay tuned, obviously, on Blue Ticket Glasses, because there will be something coming out very soon. So cheers all. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.